All right, that was pretty corny, but this is Roger. Let me cut the radio down a little bit. We got the 21st of August, 2021, and I have no idea what build number this is. Like, it might be number 5. I'm not quite sure, but you'll see it in the title instructions. So this is it, 1970-71, German spec 914, and it's not a real one, but it's got the fender flare kit on it. And I'll just go around and show you some things I've been doing probably for the last 3 or 4 months, maybe even 5 months. I don't know when the last video was posted, but anyway, this is it. I'm here in Germany, and this is where I got this car from, in Germany by Frankfurt. This guy literally has, I'm not exaggerating here or embellishing, 25 to 30 of these things in various states of repair, and I was privileged enough to actually be able to buy one from him. And he's also got a 57 bug oval window that's been sitting in his place for 30 years. I'm going to try to nab that as well. Nab is the North Carolina term, in case you ain't figured that one out yet. But let me show you what I got going on here. This thing, just in case you haven't watched the other video, is going to get an LS3. I had an LS1 that I bought with the car, but trashed that because I don't know how old the motor was, so I sold that on German eBay, and I went to Summit Racing. And you know, my definition of expensive is $7,000, and this is a $7,000 motor. But for what you get, along with $1,500 worth of management system and the ECU and the wiring harness, I think it's worth it, because the 55 Nomad actually has the exact same engine in it, minus the transmission, of course. I bought a Connect and Cruise. But anyway, this is a 2006-2007 Boxster S, 6-speed with a double overdrive. And there's a company in California called Kennedy Engineering Products, KEP, and they build you this beautiful little adapter plate right here. And tell you what, there wasn't one single bolt that had any problem about threading in. This thing is absolutely gorgeous, and they're proud of their product. So you got to give them, you know, north of $2,000 to get this little kit right here. But again, it's worth it. And I've got everything bolted up. This thing's ready to go, and it's a 6-speed, like I said earlier. This right here, this black piece that's powder coated, very nice, is from a guy named Scott in Las Vegas, and that's called Renegade Hybrids, and they build the entire adapter plate. So the only thing I've done here is, if you've seen, I've done a minor adjustment right here. I've widened this hole out a little bit because I found out when I mounted this thing a couple of times, I could move the exact engine or the entire engine forward about a good solid inch, which is 2.5 centimeters. So get a little bit closer to the front. I don't know why, but I decided to do that. The intake manifold, pretty simple. I just took it off, spun it 180 degrees, and put it back on here. The only thing I had to do is re-weld my oil pickup right here, or not the oil pickup, but the oil sensor, and just put an angle on it, and that actually turned up pretty nice. And all this other stuff, this up here, this right here is all from not Kennedy Engineering, but Renegade Hybrids in Las Vegas. You can just Google those guys online, you can see them. Anyway, back to the actual car. So you see my little plug on the side. These are 2 small Michimoto aluminum 3-core, about $250 pop from Summit Racing. And I've got these scoops that I bought off of eBay for like $19 a piece, and they're going to be put on here. I still got to put my little mounting holes on here, but just long story short, I'm putting 2 of those in here. One's on this side, and I'll show you how fits pretty nice up in here. Because I did that big giant hack in there to let it blow through there, a German friend of mine, Ralph, who actually sold me this car, actually said you've got to put a whole lot of reinforcement in this, because when he does his racing on his 6 cylinders, he does all kinds of reinforcement because this little body will twist and everything. So I don't have a structural engineering degree or anything, but what I did is I built all these little parts up in here over the last 2 or 3 months, and I'm going to weld them solid up in here. And then if you notice, there's a little bridge here. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a piece over here, the thicker piece of metal, and this actually connects right here. And the same thing with this back here. Since the transmission is mounted back here, I went ahead and did my plugs up in here. If you can see up here, this is actually welded, and it goes all the way through down here, and it comes right there. I haven't cleaned it up right now. So there's that piece down there. And then right here, I don't know if it's sliding enough in here, I've plug welded all these reinforcement pieces up in here. There's 2 sheets up in here. And then you can see the other side of the cooler. Now what I'm gonna do is I gotta figure out some way to go from this side to that side, or maybe split them in the middle and go to both sides twice as far as the cooling is concerned. But I don't think I'm gonna actually have a problem on cooling. So now, since you've seen this side, I'm gonna go to the other side. And here's what it looks like right here. So this is not welded in here right now, but I've plug welded a big giant 2.5 millimeter plate up in here. There's not rust in here. This was just plug welded in here. It's a big giant thick piece. I don't know if you can see it or not, how thick that is. And then this piece right here goes up here. And then, yeah, there you go. I put plug welds on the back of this one. I've got bolts welded to the back of this. So you can just put this right in here and bolt it down, just like that. And then I'm gonna TIG weld this right here to make it look nice and pretty. And then the back piece right here, this back panel, I've got it at the upholstery shop right now because I wasn't brave enough to actually do this insertion cut right here. So you'll have the foam and the Naugahyde or the Kunstleder, the fake leather, right up in here, and it'll go through here. There's my Boxster S 6-speed. See, it even says Zexgang on there. And I just got to go grab the seat tomorrow from my other place, put it in here, and then see where I'm actually going to mount this. I mean, it's got to mount basically in this location, but up here, down here, and then I'll weld all these holes shut right here. The cable tray right here, I'm going to weld that shut, just put flat plates on top of it, because where the old heater used to come through, I plugged those up, and I'm going to go through here, and that goes all the way to the back, and here's where my wiring harness is going to come through right there on the other end. So that's that. I'll get to the air conditioning from Vintage AC in just a second, but I'll show you this up here first. All this up in here I've cleaned up. I had to cut some stuff out of here. My windshield wiper fluid is going to go right in here. That's an eBay product. It's just a little square box. And you can see right here, I've welded up all these holes right here. And this right here is going to have a Willwood hydraulic, and on the other side is going to be the reservoir for the brake hydraulic fluid, or the brake fluid. So that's pretty simple right here, but actually I'll have 2 holders right here. And like I said, everything else I've closed up. I closed this up and went ahead and drilled a hole right here. And if you're a 914 guy, you know that all the cables come through here, and they used to run up here, or they run down here. But now, since the German engineers back in the late 60s actually figured out every little single corner of this thing, I'm going to put my fuse box right here, and I've got my Mac Audio pre-mounted right here. And again, I'm just taking all this stuff off, so when I paint this thing silver in about a month, I can just put all this stuff back on here. The car will actually look pretty clean. This is test fitted up in here. You know, this little bracket right here that holds this right up here, I just went ahead and spot welded that down here with a bolt. You can see that right down there. And then this right here is what my dog house looks like. Dog house is nothing more than a place where you can you know, put the air conditioning system in, because again, every single little thing that these Germans engineered, there's no spaces to throw an extra amplifier or something in here, so everything has its place and purpose. So I cut this out of here, and I come back around to this side, and there's my Vintage AC. The dashboard actually comes out to about right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this right here and push it straight down, and I'll have 2 of them go up here to this vent right here for the defog function on this thing. There's not a whole lot of area up in here to cool anyway, or heat, so this will be more than ample to do that. The only thing I haven't figured out is where I actually put my condenser. Renegade Hybrids actually did a doghouse for the pedal control. I did it slightly different. I actually cut the pedal just a little bit, like about 1.5 inches, and then I've mounted up in here because I didn't want to go into the you know, to do the doghouse in here. So this is actually my electronic GM pedal. It's already mounted up in here, and I think I've got it pretty well. It goes all the way through, so that's how I'll solve that problem. And again, if you don't do this, you know, it took about a day to put this in here this way, you know, way up high. If you don't do this, this thing sits way down here and looks kind of stupid if you ask me. So that's it. And again, I have the capability to put a whole cable tray, and I'm probably going to run all my air conditioning and heater lines right here. And if you notice, there is all of my connections right here. So it's a simple little connector from here to here. And I've actually got the kit from Vintage AC, so I can press all my own AC lines. And folks, the same thing on this side. I've got my, what is it, probably that's like an M10 or an M12 metric bolt on the other side of this thing, or nut, and I can just bolt it down here. Alright, what else can I show you on this thing? I think that's about it. Yeah, so anyway, this thing's moving along. Same thing on the other side. And if I showed you on the other side, but I'm going to take this off smooth right here. And, you know, the Germans have this Steinschutz is what they call it, but it's that little place where the stone guard is at. But I want this completely smooth down here when I paint it. And this I just did. This is a piece of aluminum, and I cut it exactly right size. I got a little JB weld on it right now. Tomorrow I'll swipe a little thin 1/2 millimeter swipe of Bondo on here. And that's usually where the jack would go in and lift the car up. But I'm going to make myself a little custom jack that if I have to lift it off. Anyway, project's moving along. I know some of you guys probably doubted me because I haven't posted a video in so long, but this is pretty good. This is actually pretty neat right here. This is not the prettiest thing in the world, but I'm going to work on this a little bit just across. And I had to do my little welding on here, and just to show you that I didn't get a first time go with that station. Here's my F-ups. Here's one. Here's my second one. Just wasn't paying attention. And no, I wasn't drinking any Corona that evening. That's my stockpile for the end of the day on a Saturday evening. But this thing right here, bolts, go in here and go all the way through. So this will make a nice little solid reinforcement back up in here. And again, since I turned that intake manifold around, it'll come out here and go right around here. More than likely, I'll go right back in here. Don't know yet. I'm going to mount the motor in the next couple of days and figure that one out. Just real quick, this is not the Nomad video, but I went ahead and put on these, I guess, what do you call these? Rocker guards or whatever. I didn't like them at first, but I've grown used to them right now. I think it actually looks pretty sexy. So those are my rocker guards, and man, this thing runs like a scared cat. I'm so happy with it. Power, great fuel economy, LS motor. Everything's working great on this one. This is a turnkey, drive anywhere car. And show you what I picked up. This is a 1957 NSU, which is Audi at the time, and Lambretta is the name of it, and that's the model number. That's because some Italian guy designed it. And it looks pretty sexy. I got it for cheap because it wasn't running. Of course, it runs now. It was a minor little issue with the relay, and that's about it. This is actually a 12-volt system on here, and pretty cool. Anyway, I'm stoked about this one. 1957, folks. And there's a 1959 right behind it, and that's the one I've had literally for 3 or 4 years. We actually took it for a ride today and went to the local hardware store and picked up some parts I needed. And there's my picnic table in the background with my new large umbrella. So, I know it's dark out here right now, but 914 project is coming along. I haven't been slacking. I've also been busy at work right now, so that's my excuse. But it's coming along. Again, I plan on painting this thing probably within the next 30 days. It's not too ambitious, but that's the plan. So, that's it from Runneberg, Germany. Take care. Bye-bye.